Okay, so this is Pete, multiple award-winning Mastermind member who's been on an amazing journey with the Hive. With us, we've been very privileged to have him as part of the journey. He was one of our originals, so we've known Pete a real long time. But what's cool is that we look at where Pete is now and how his business and his life look, and you know, there's a reason why he's won so many awards recently. And I asked Pete to jump on to share his experience, to share some of his learnings, and to share some of the things he's done along the way to be able to end up with the business that he currently has. So thanks for your time, Pete. Pete, how was it when it all started for you? What were the frustrations, and what was the situation back then?
Well, Blake, I mean, this is quite a few years ago that I joined the Hive now, and it's almost difficult to think back to that time because life and everything is so different now. I think at the time I had a small single me practice, didn't really have much admin support, and it was actually at the time a shrinking business. So I had really good first couple of years in private practice, and then I found that actually my revenue was going down. It wasn't even staying even, and go or even no way of going up. So I was like, okay, I must be doing something wrong here because I'm a pretty awesome podiatrist, or at least that was my take on things. And I was like, oh, why aren't I making any money? And yeah, I got to the point where I was like, well, I need to do something. And that's pretty much when I went along to one of the, I think the reset events that you had in London at the time for a couple of days, and it was eye opening for a start, which was pretty cool. Of all the things that I was doing badly, not necessarily wrong, but not very well, and yeah, it really kicked off from there. And it was I think that reset event was a good starting point, and then just taking things on beyond that, and getting some help to grow was kind of the key thing, and to take some time, so it wasn't just me doing everything.
Mm. And so what was the goal that you set back then?
Um, so when I first joined the Hive, I was looking to make sure that I could take off every single school holiday to hang out with my kids. And I set a 5 year plan to get myself off the tools and actually stop seeing patients, because I could see the best way of growing a business that was going to be really sustainable was to take me out of the equation. And at the time, I was obviously the face of the business because it was just me. And I realized that I needed to do something bigger than that, so that I wasn't working myself half to death, and could actually take some time off. So yeah, that was the goal.
Mm. So how are things now? What's the snapshot of your current setup with like the properties you have and the team, and where are you
Yeah,
at?
completely unrecognizable. When I first started, I think I was practicing out of like 4 or 5 different individual clinics, like a day a week or something. We now have two full-time practices, about half an hour apart, in terms of distance. I employ 9 other people, 6 of the podiatrists, which is pretty cool. And yeah, we are on the way to filling both of those practices. Like we're probably a couple of years off being at complete capacity. So it's a completely different environment. I don't treat at all. Haven't done for 3 years now. Um, I keep my hand in. I pick up when people are off sick and cover clinics and things, but otherwise I literally just look after the other guys and do business planning. I work between 2 and 3 days a week on the business, and the rest of the time is my own. So it's kind of a completely different situation.
Nice. And what were
Yeah.
some of the big steps, or what were some of the big learnings along the way?
Probably the biggest one was that despite me being awesome at everything, obviously, because that's how I thought, there are people who are better suited for doing certain roles. Um, Taking on a really good admin team was absolutely key. So having someone who's not just there to answer the phones and emails, but actually to start running the business from a front of house perspective, was a complete game changer. And it's the sort of thing, why didn't I do this like 10 years ago? That kind of light bulb moment. And I think making sure you've got the right admin team as well, rather than just taking anybody, because they have to have a bit of fire to actually want to take on responsibility. And now, literally, the front of house run the whole business. They are literally in charge of all of that. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice. And what about the financial model of the business? Like, because I know you've made shifts around there over time. What did you learn there?
Yeah, I think we were always aiming for sort of like a decent net profit. And what I now understand is that the net profit's fine. We've got to have the cash in the bank as well. So looking after cash flow is really key. We have looked at our costings for different parts of the business, and we've really focused on like our margins as much as anything. That's like the key thing for us, is like, can we get it cheaper? Can we do it better? And have that kind of mindset to sort of maintain that. And monetarily, I think it's always been, it's some people's drivers. It's not mine. The money just kind of comes as part of running a good team. That's certainly the thing that I've found. Some people are still driven by money, absolutely. And we certainly try from a financial point of view to support all of our team members to make sure that they earn really well as well. Because if they're earning well, then they're happy, which is great. It's just part and parcel.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things you've done especially well, is creating a model that enables you to hit your net profits, but without having to be like 100% full, so you can be comfortably busy, hit your net profits, but also, and I take my hat off to you, and I love every practice owner that does this, like, you pay your team really well. So you've asked that question of, how can I have a model that benefits everyone, but it enables me to pay people well? Because that's what then builds stability in the practice. And that's what I've noticed with you in the last few years, is like that stability you've built in your team. Whereas when you have practices that, don't have a model which enables them to pay well, and they don't have a good team culture, so people don't really love coming to work, then you get a lot of turnover in the team, and it's sort of like this roller coaster experience. Hey, we've got a team. Oh, we don't have a team. Hey, we've got a team. And they never find that stability. But I think that's something that you've cracked.
Yeah, and I think it's the work-life balance side of things as well, isn't it? So it's not running everyone at 100% full, because that just exhausts anybody, and it's unsustainable long term. So ensuring that we actually have white space in our diary, so people can pause. They can do their admin. They can grab a cup of tea or whatever. Is part of that winning formula, because it. That I appreciate that's only achievable by being able to recruit, but actually it's what means you keep people, rather than having to constantly find new pods to come and replace people who are leaving. So yeah, it's great.
For sure. And what is it that you gained from the mastermind process, and what's your advice around how to get the most out of that process? Because I think that's the key, is it's the expertise, the knowledge is there. That's for us to put that on for you guys. But what was your experience of the journey?
I think learning to actually become a leader is quite different to being a manager, and so that is the sort of thing that I got from certainly the mastermind group. It's it really facilitates and changes your thinking about how to look after people, and actually how to run a business successfully. So instead of being in that kind of like owner situation where you're head down, you're trying to make everything, your ends meet, and you're trying to keep your head above water to some extent, actually being able to stop and pause and actually look at the bigger picture and develop those leadership skills, so that you can then facilitate that within other people as well, and actually get them to take on more important roles. It's kind of key to ensuring that your business is sustainable long term, particularly if you are intending to take a step back, and actually not be there every day of the week, which is certainly what I've managed to do.
Nice. Did you enjoy the process? And if so, which bits did you enjoy?
Yeah, no, it's great. I think the community you get within that mastermind group is phenomenal, because you've got people who are from, different parts of the country, all over the world, and they're all there with the same goal in mind, which I think when you're all on that same journey, it means that you all have things in common for a start, and you can actually have a joined up approach to working together towards achieving your goals. And so it's the people I hang out with there. It's great. Wouldn't miss that.
Awesome. Any final words of wisdom? Any final nuggets to share?
I think, Troy always said that culture eats strategy for breakfast, and it's still really, really true. I think, again, one of the things I learned as part of the leadership training that you guys have done, is if you look after your team, they're massively going to look after you. And building a team that gets on well together, that's the most important thing. Forget everything else. That's really key. And yeah, I'm pretty stoked with who I get to come in to work with every day. So it's awesome.
Nice, man. Well, look, thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. Thanks for being part of Mastermind for so many years. And we'll keep an eye on what's going to happen over the next few years for you.
Yeah, exciting times, eh?
All right. Thanks, man.
Cheers, Dave.